Oh, it's recording now. Okay, well, let's call this meeting to order. I have a recommendation that the agenda for the Police Services Board meeting of June 24th, 2021 be accepted as presented. Can I have somebody move it? Mike, seconded. All those in favor? It's passed. Are there any declarations of interest? There are no presentations or delegations. I've had a chance to look at the minutes of the meeting held May 27th, 2021. Any errors or omissions? No?
No.
Then it's recommended that the Police Services Board meeting minutes dated May 27th, 2021 be accepted as presented. Can I have somebody move it, please? Mike, seconded by Brett Todd. All those in favor? It's carried. And we have the minutes of the special meeting held June 17th, 2021. Again, are there any errors or omissions? Additions? No. Then it's recommended that the Special Police Services Board minutes dated June 17th, 2021 be accepted as presented. Can I have somebody move? Brett, seconded. Mike Ostrander. All those in favor? And it's passed. Going on to communications and petitions. Anything under action items or information items you'd like to discuss? No? Then let's move right to the Police Services Board report for May 2021.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much. I'm not sure, did you want to post someone share their screen with the board? Or does everybody have a copy of the Police Services Board report for Prescott?
I have a copy on my other computer, so I'm looking at it now.
Okay, perfect. I'll just go over it. So when we look at our violent crimes, I'm happy to report that actually in all categories, we're trending downwards. But when we had, I'll just go over the report. In May last year, we had 3 sexual assaults reported, whereas there was only 1 reported this year. So we're down 66.7%. Our assaults are up somewhat. Where we had two assaults reported last year, but we had 4 reported this year, so we're up 100%. But our other crimes against persons are down by 20%. So overall, we had 1 reported. We had 1 violent crime reported less than last year at this time for a 10% reduction. But when we look at our year to date, we're down 25%. So whereas we had 35 violent crimes reported last year in this time, we've only got 26 reported this year. So that's a positive. And I will monitor the assaults to see if there's any trends there, to see if there's anything that we need to do proactively to address that. When we look at our property crimes, again, we're down 75%. So that's very good. And what I was really happy to see was our frauds trending downwards, because that's where we tend to see elderly people victimized. So whereas last year at this time we had 4 frauds, we only had 1 reported this time. I did look into that. There was no loss, which is very positive in that aspect. So that's a 75% reduction. Our theft unders, which typically is reported as our car hoppings, people entering unlocked cars and stealing change and all that, we didn't have any reported in the month of May, so we're down 100% on that. And our mischiefs are down by 50%. So overall, we're down 75% for the month of May. And happy to report that we are down from 64 to 42 year to date. So that's a 34% decrease in property crimes, which is good. Drug crime, we had no drug crime in the month of May. But as I did send the board this week, we are continuing to work on drug crimes in the town of Prescott. So you'll see something different for the month of June. Year to date, our drug crime is down 66%. Now, that is more of a snapshot of some of the proactive work that is being done. So it's not a true representation of the drug crime that could be potential in the town. We did have a note of a few overdoses in the month of June, which I'll report on next month, but we are cognizant of that and well aware of it, and we are addressing that issue. When we look at our clearance rates, our violent crime is up 7.8% to 77.8%. Our property crime is at 0%, so we're down 33%, but that's just because we had low property crime rates. And what we did, the fraud really impacts us, even though there was only one. It is an unsolved crime, and those typically are unsolved, so it really impacts us. Drug crime, there was no change. Overall, we're up 7.7% on our solve rates. So just so the board is aware, I know I cover this off every month, but this will change. And I more look at the year-to-date numbers to see if we're going to be in line with our 2020 numbers. We are down somewhat, but as we continue to solve crimes, this will change. So what I will be more cognizant of is what our actual December numbers are for our solve rates, because that'll give a snapshot of what the year is. When I look at our call for service billing summary, I'm not going to go line per line, but I'm going to go down to the summary at the end. Overall, to give you an idea, we're at 22,500.6 billable hours, whereas last year we were at 2,906.7 billable hours. So we're down about 400 billable hours to the municipality right now. In terms of public complaints, we still have no public complaints going on to our officers, so that's a positive. And I've actually, good news story, I've had several members of Prescott community walk into my office to commend the officers on their positive interactions they've had. So we're having very good response from the municipality in the town of Prescott for how our officers are handling situations. So that's a good news story. We have 9 offenders in our crime abatement strategy, and we've had 9 compliance checks with 0 offenses. So that means the offenders that are released from courts back into the community on strict conditions are complying with those conditions while we're doing the compliance checks. There was 178 cruiser patrol hours. There was 2.5 bicycle patrol hours and 29 foot patrol hours in the town of Prescott during the month of May. So the officers are getting out there, they're being very visible, and that's probably very, that's the reason I'm going to guess why we're getting very positive interactions with our community members and members coming into the community to comment on the officers. In terms of detachment initiatives, our media officers sent out tweets and radio interviews on the Canada Road Safety Week. The media officers sent tweets and radio interviews also on Safe Boating Week, which was in the month of May. During the long weekend in May, Grenville OPP participated in a traffic campaign. During this weekend blitz, we targeted seatbelts. There was a total, the report here shows 102, but it should actually say 152 charges laid, and 25 of those were seatbelt offenses. So we still are seeing people not buckling up for safety, which is an issue because we are seeing an increase provincially in road fatalities. So we're gonna work on getting the message out for people to buckle up and to worry about distracted driving, because we are seeing provincially a trend upwards in road fatalities. There was 0 break and enters for the month, so we did not offer safeguard, but we had 7 visits in the town of Prescott with our mobile crisis response unit, so that's very positive. And we're getting people with mental health issues connected to social services to prevent those reoccurring calls for service coming into the police station and get them diverted back to the appropriate service agency that should be dealing with them. Pending any questions, that's the report for the month of May.
Any questions for the inspector?
Just, Mr. Chair, just a thank you. Great numbers, excellent to see this, and also a thank you to the inspector and his team for the work on the drug crime lately as well. And I do see there was a bust in Brockville the other day that was assisted by the OPP. I don't know if that was Leeds or Grenville or both, but obviously good teamwork there with the neighboring municipality to get some of this stuff off the street. So, so good work all around, and thanks for such a good report this month, Josh.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, it was our unit that assisted Brockville, and we're very cognizant of the flow of traffic back and forth from the various communities. So that's where the benefit of our community street crime team is. It's partnered between, well, we partner with our municipal partners on these kinds of things, but we have Leeds, Grenville, and Lanark. So we cover a very good geographical area, and we get a very good footprint on what is going on and what trends are happening in our drug issues. So we'll continue to work on the issue because we are, as reported in June, seeing a rise in overdoses. So the June bust that we did in Prescott, we did take fentanyl off the street. So that's a very good news story because that's a hard drug, which is causing a lot of poison in our community.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for that added update as well.
Yep.
Anything else, Mike?
No, very comprehensive report, and it lays it out comparing one period to the next there, and that's very good. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Well, then it's recommended that the police services report for May 2021 be accepted as presented. Could I have someone move? Mike, seconded by Brett. All those in favor? It's carried. We can move on to the bylaw update report.
Yes, so my report's fairly standard this month, although the one really good thing is we met with representatives from the OPP and Brockville General Hospital as staff to discuss coordination of information and provision of community assistance. Falling back on kind of what the OPP was talking about earlier, making sure that we get the proper resources and services to the people that need it. Staff, the goal is from after meeting with these people and also talking with Leeds Grenville Victim Services is to probably have a meeting at least monthly, probably about a week before the police services board, so that if there's anything that needs to be communicated to the police services board, it can be done so in a timely fashion. In addition, the town of Prescott and the township of Augusta are currently recruiting a bylaw enforcement officer and intern building official to be shared by both municipalities, and we are prepared to offer that position basically this week. That's not to say that our current contract officer will be not helping. He still will be. At least in the short term, to help get the person up to date and everything else. The only last thing is Centennial Park tends to be a popular spot, so we tend to focus on it. The numbers are really, it's good to see such high use, but some of the usage could be better. We would ask that if the OPP is out as well as bylaw when we're out and it's off what I call normal hours, to keep checking in there. We've had a few stolen items left down in that area and some paraphernalia that would be best if it wasn't found in the local park. And that is my report for the month, sir.
Any questions of Sean or concerns?
Just a quick one, and I can follow this up after with Sean and also Matt. I just want to check on things like fines for smoking down there, which has been a habitual problem. And the one thing, and you know, this is a ticky-tack issue, but it's annoying enough to see down there, is just the amount of littering. And I know we have staff down there all the time, and you know, at the point where maybe a couple tickets would smarten a few people up, because the amount of garbage that's left down there on a daily basis is beyond offensive given what we're putting into the beach. It's a great free facility, yet people seem to just treat it horribly at times. So whatever we can do there to really kind of clamp down on some of this and to encourage people to respect the site would be nice.
Anything else? No. Anything under old business? Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'll do it under old business. It could be new business, but I want to take a moment to address speeding in the town again. Just
Okay,
forgive
sure.
me for just a brief story, but 2 nights ago, I had a restless dog, took him out about 12:30 in the morning, just basically took him around the block, was coming home at about one or thereabouts. Very quiet town. And at the time, though, I had a thought about leaving him off leash for the last house or so, just to give him just a little bit of off leash time before he came in. Thought maybe I better not, just despite the time and everything else. And I'm very glad that I didn't, because right about that time, someone came around the corner from Sophia Street to Dibble, small subcompact car, and proceeded to drive all the way down Dibble Street from Sophia Street to Edward, full speed, didn't slow down for any of the stop signs between Sophia and Edward Street. Had to have been doing 120 or so plus when the driver went by my house that evening. And it's one of the most dangerous, idiotic stunts I've ever seen in my life. If anyone had been coming on any of the north-south streets and encountered that vehicle at that rate of speed, everyone's dead in both vehicles. I've never seen anything like it before, and I was absolutely livid at the sight of it. But it also backs up what I am hearing from residents, that this is going on in town. I've heard the vehicles before. This is the first time I've seen this, but it's just unbelievable what happened that night. I will say I called the OPP right away, and I actually went out in my own vehicle. This was one of the few times I didn't have a phone on me when I was out of the house. So I had to run in and get my phone, but I did call the OPP, and I can't say enough the incredible response. Dispatch was right on it. Officers were right on it. 2 vehicles had responded and were trying to find this vehicle on Edward Street by the time I got there, about 4 minutes later. So excellent work, but this person was driving so quickly and so recklessly that and couldn't find him. I think I actually saw him again about 10 minutes later on King Street, driving about the same speed, heading east. But I wasn't about to chase the vehicle, obviously, so he lost me very quickly. I happened to speak to one of the officers trying to find the driver a little afterward, and just impossible to find it at that point. He could have gone just about anywhere. But anyways, I raised this. I'm not criticizing the OPP in any way, shape, or form, because their response was fantastic. But this is a major issue on our streets. You hear it from people all the time, the overnight speeding and this happening. So I just mention it as something we need to really be concerned about. I asked Mr. Armstrong to try to speed up the securing of the price on that photo radar, and maybe that's a deterrent if people are don't know where that could be positioned. If it's a mobile unit that we're talking about, maybe people will start avoiding Prescott and they're not going through down streets like this. But anyways, I just wanted to raise that because I just quite simply astonished at the level of sheer stupidity that was involved there that night, and how tragic that could have been if someone had just happened to be coming in the wrong way. And there was traffic in town. There were quite a number of vehicles on Center Street at the time, in and around the taxi stand. So there was activity. So something clearly could have happened. Anyways, that's my soapbox speech for this morning. I do want to thank the OPP for the great response and their efforts on this, but clearly as a community, we've got to do more here. And I've had a complaint from a resident on Center Street again, who's been dealing with very fast overnight speeds for quite some time now. So that's something else I've got to take back to town staff, because there's a request in for a sign there for a special needs child. So anyhow, apologies for the speech, but I thought I'd better get that out this morning.
Good. Anything else under old business? Yes, Mike.
Just very briefly to add what the mayor is saying, there is 3 or 4 small cars in town. You sometimes see one chasing the other, and this is prime time I'm talking, late afternoon, early evening, and it is an issue. It's not, it's not just middle of the night that they're out there. So I don't know. The answer to it is maybe just the guys could poke their nose in town, at varying times, and they might come upon these guys. They they have a little meeting at Tim Hortons sometimes in the early evenings. If that's of any assistance, I don't know, but I've been out walking and I've seen some of their Daredevil stuff, and it's in prime time. It's not the middle of the night. It's late afternoon, early evening type thing. So it concerned particularly with pedestrians in active hours, not just other vehicles. So I do support that wholeheartedly.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll conduct some additional enforcement in town, especially now that we know some target areas. That's going to make a big difference. And thank you, Mayor, for acknowledging the response of the members. I'll speak with them as well to see if we've got any leads on that vehicle at all.
I will say it's not a vehicle I'd seen in town in the past. It was so quick and it happened so fast and shocked me so much. I didn't really clock the vehicle itself. I'm assuming it was a small Nissan subcompact, but I honestly don't know for sure. Light blue, whitish color, but it's not one of the, because Mike is talking about some known actors, and I don't believe it's involved in that group. Could be as well, but I don't think so. So
Okay.
just a very nondescript car, nothing like souped up in any way.
Okay, anything else under old business? Anything under new business?
Oh, Stan, I probably should add, just as an update on the PSB, the negotiations with the other Grenville communities, where Augusta did vote against last week, but that is up for reconsideration. They are having a meeting on Friday at 2:00 in Augusta to look at this again. So hopefully they'll change their minds. We had a quick meeting of the mayors before our county's meeting yesterday morning, and everybody in the group, including Mayor Malenka with Augusta, who is still fully supportive of our plan, everybody's still on board with proceeding as we've discussed and as Prescott Council passed on Monday night, and this board approved last week. So we're looking to move ahead with the exact same proposal, but we're still looking at what's happening with Augusta and hoping to get them on board during that Friday meeting. So hopefully we'll have good news on Friday, but quite honestly, not wildly optimistic about that given what I heard yesterday morning from Mayor Malenka. But we'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Okay. Now, anything under new business? I have one item. I was talking to a resident, and it's regarding the left turn lane going out of the Canadian Tire, your independent grocer area. The trucks coming from over the overpass and then turning left. I know the lines are staggered, but if there's cars backed up there, you can't back up, and some of these jockeys are just cranking it, and there's, as he said, he was almost hit. He had to lay on his horn. Finally, the cars moved. Is there anything we can do about it? Is it set by the MOT or the distance for their, different staggering of turns? Sean? Okay.
That's it's sort of Stan. Yeah, go ahead, Sean, if you've got a suggestion there.
Well, no, I was going to say we could take a look between us and operations to see if they need repainted or whatnot. We could try to back it up. Just remember, there is another exit there. Yeah. It is an intersection, and the MTO is just starting to rethink about how they're going to design the road, but that's a long way down the road. We'll see if we can find any solutions, or I'll talk with Bob and then Nathan, see if we can find any solutions on our end.
Yeah, because I know I've been almost clipped a couple of times too. Thank God there's nobody behind me, so I could back up, or the person behind me started backing up also. Yeah, they don't swing far. And again, I'm not an expert on that, so. But they did indicate the lines are faded, so.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a good point. So yeah, I can recognize exactly what you mean. I think I've been in there before and kind of had to back up. kind of out of courtesy, probably to give the transport more room, but I can see if that line is straight, and I'm assuming it is straight across, it maybe should be staggered. So we'll look at that, and then we'll consult with the Ministry of Transportation as well. As far as what their thoughts are, what the regulations should be on the distances. And then last week, we also had a line painting contractor in to complete the painting of the lines on all the streets in town. So we'll take a look at that and make sure that they hit that spot as well, and updated the stop bars.
Now, those lines are staggered.
They are, okay.
It just doesn't seem to be staggered enough.
It's not
I
enough,
don't know.
yeah.
And then you get into the problem with the lane behind it, though. We did make this
Mhm.
change. It's a few years now. We did the staggered lines, but it's a tough intersection all the way around.
Yeah.
Simply because you can't. I don't think you can back it up much farther. Although maybe you can. We did talk about moving it back last year. I think we talked about moving it back. I think Nathan, it was before you joined us, but
Yeah.
we did talk about it at one point, and I don't know if that was possible or not. But MTO has controlled the intersections. So they've got to approve, I think, everything we do there.
Yeah.
And they did approve this when we did it 4 or 5 years ago when we first moved the line back. But I think everybody in town's been in that position. And it's a horrible one to be in when there's cars behind you and all of a sudden the transport's right there. And thankfully, a lot of the drivers are quite good and they do get around, but boy, it's an intimidating moment.
Well, unfortunately, there's going to be one driver that can't do it. There's
yeah.
going to be an accident.
Is there a way to,
Um,
this isn't a solution, but signage for narrow turn or something to give the drivers a bit more of a warning that they're the ones that aren't familiar with that intersection? I don't know. Signage isn't a cure all, but at least there's a bit of warning for the driver as they're about to make that left turn. That's a question for MTO again, I guess.
Yeah, that could be a question for the MTO. I guess the other question I'm thinking too, and you probably don't have this at your fingertips, Joshua, but it'd be interesting to see if there's been any incidents or accidents at that corner in that particular situation, just as kind of like a data point for us. And probably the Ministry of Transportation may ask for that as well, but that might be good information to help us kind of go forward.
I can pull the numbers and report back to the board.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. Anything else under new business? The PSB public service
Stan
announcement.
Nathan had his hand up a moment
Sorry.
ago.
Okay, that's okay, Stan. Thanks, Brett. We did have a speed spy, kind of one of those kind of black box instrumentations things that go up on the poles, and we put that up a couple weeks ago on Edward Street to collect data on the speeds of the vehicles going up and down the street. So that was in place for about a week and a half to 2 weeks, and we're just extracting that data now. So we'll once we have that, we can forward it through to whoever would like to look at it.
Great. Anything else? Because I'm flipping from screen to screen, trying to see if anybody's raising their hands. No? Going once? The PSB public service announcement, do we want to continue with warning them with the fentanyl or with overdoses?
I would say that would be a positive thing, especially considering in June, we did see a rise in overdoses, not overdose deaths, but overdoses where Narcan was administered. And it should be, I would recommend the board continue with the drug fentanyl.
Could we also get I hate to beat the drum on this again, but just on speeding and take precautions, children out for summertime, not that they had a school year this year, but we usually put something out just with the amount of traffic on King Street coming in and out of Centennial Park, and crowds have been huge down there so far this year. So maybe a warning on that as well, if that's possible, Inspector.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. You are correct. It slipped my mind because we haven't seen school buses in over a year. So, but with kids being done school now officially, we are going to see them out playing, which is going to be a nice sight for the summertime.
Yeah, there's so much traffic on that corner of St. Lawrence and King with Katarina's as well. And a lot of people whip through that intersection and don't seem to realize there's even a crosswalk there. So
Yeah.
just so people just have that in their radar anyways, if it helps.
Good. Anything else? If that's it, it's recommended that this meeting adjourn. Yes, Lindsay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, sometimes the board approves a summer meeting schedule. I know in 2019, we met in June and then took a break until September. And then last year we met in July and took a break until September. So I wasn't sure if the board wanted to meet again in July or hold off until September. And again, at any time, if there's a need for a meeting, we can call one. But I wanted to bring that up to see if there was any interest in taking that break over the summer.
Mike?
I'm open to it. It's, I guess, sort of been tradition that we break from June to September. If there's any need, we can always call one on a fairly short notice if we had to. But no, I'm okay with the June to September break.
We might need to meet at some point just regarding this PSB stuff with the other Grenville municipalities, but otherwise, I think we're good unless something comes up, and we can always schedule one. Stan never leaves town, so he's always free.
Yeah, okay, let's go with that. All right, well, let's do that because of staff holidays and everything, vacation time. Let's do it to what, September 23rd? Lindsay, is that what we had planned?
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair, I believe we've been meeting the last Thursday, which would be the 30th if my calendar was correct. But if the board
Okay.
would rather meet on the 23rd, that's always an option as well.
Well, can the reports be done by the 23rd, Spectre?
Yeah, I can have the reports done by the 23rd.
Is the 23rd good for everybody?
It's good for me.
Okay,
I'm fine.
all right, well, it's recommended that this meeting adjourn to September 23rd at 8:30 a.m. Can I have somebody move? Brett, seconded by Mike. All those in favor? It's carried, and the time is 9:03. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a safe and happy summer.
Lindsay, Nathan, Caitlin, can you just stay on with me for a moment? There's just something coming up in about half an hour I just need to discuss with you.
Thanks, everybody. I'll leave you to your meeting.
Thanks, folks.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye-bye, guys. Be safe.
I'm going to stop the recording though right now.
Yeah.